What's up, guys? Cody here. So they just released the stats tab page for the Legends. I don't think all the features are implemented yet, but it'll be cool to see what it says about stats. So, this only goes back to as far as mid-season. A little bit unfortunate because, like, if we go to the supports I've played, this is being shown by most played supports. So it's saying Sona's my most played right now, since mid-season. However, Nautilus is my most played overall, and Nautilus has the most games. You can always check out my stats online. It says I've only played 247 games. Um, that's not even all ranked. That is, I have played about 177 ranked games, while in total I have over 600 games ranked. So this is not at all a good representation of my overall uh of my season in a whole, I guess I should say. This is pretty much just since mid-season. That's it. Things to note, 92 hours in ranked and 3.6 KDA, but that 3.6 includes normals and whatnot. So yeah, um I don't really care about my other roles, obviously that they're not like important, and that Lulu shouldn't even be in bot. I don't even know why that's even there. Um, but yeah, so we're just gonna focus on support. So since mid-season, I've had a 53% win rate on support, which is pretty good. 171 games played. That number is different. 92 plus 85. Maybe it's counting remakes too. Wait, that doesn't make. Yeah, 92 plus 85 is 177. But this. Oh, right, 177 rank. Forgot about that. Okay, right. So yeah. So you can see that they give you like grades on everything. Put it since mid-season, that's a little bit different. Um, but mid-season is a much better indication of different things. Um, and I will compare it as we go along. But this is comparing me to other support players. Really nice. So my KDA is much higher than the average plat player. Most plat players have a KDA that's right below 3. My average KDA is above 3. This is something that I pride myself on because I have a really aggressive playstyle. You can see that I have a higher kill participation than most people. Not by too much, but I still have a higher kill participation than most. Which goes to back up my KDA. A lot of times, someone can see that you have a high KDA, and it's just like, oh well, you're just not dying a lot. Um, but in fact, it's like, no, I'm playing just as aggressive, if not more aggressive than everybody else. I can also switch this over to Diamond and show that my KDA is still better than Diamond. Diamond, they actually don't really move. And my participation is pretty much the exact same as theirs. So my stats so far look pretty similar to Diamond. Um, there are other things here. There's the utility score, which isn't really important. The damage per def, which isn't important, and the damage share, which also isn't important for support. None of these numbers matter on a support at all. So don't worry about them. You could literally just play like all Zyra and Brand and have your damage score be ridiculously high. So yeah, on to income. I don't really know if this really makes a difference here. Because all of this is CS and whatnot, and yeah, don't farm as a support. Moving on from that, map control. Objective control rate 43.9% versus 43.1. Vision score per hour 118.4 is my average vision score. My average vision score versus 89.3. I There's not much to say here. I have a higher win rate than most players. I'm going to assume that most people have a 50% win rate. I have a 53% win rate, and this is the number that's significantly different. Also, this Rome dominant score. You can see this graph is lower in the earlier half, higher at the later half. In fact, it is into later half. How much you contribute to kills, deaths, and assists in other lanes at 15 minutes. This is a difficult stat to exactly read because I don't exactly understand how the number correlates to what I'm doing elsewhere. But I can say that, but pretty much this is saying when you roam, do you make an impact on the map? And it is a resounding yes. Earlier on, the portion after midseason, it was only a little bit better than what it is for most people. But as of recently, it is a lot better, and I will change the stat. I will change the time period to better reflect how I'm doing now. But like I said, I play so many games that I don't think it's a good indicator to only take like my 25 most recent games, and I don't think it's a good indicator to only take games since. In kill conversion ratio, how killing of enemy champions converts to taking objectives. This is just saying when you get a kill, do you take an objective? Like do you press your advantage when you get a kill? Um, and you can see this. All these for the most part, all these numbers have gone up as it's progressed. The only number that's kind of gone down is my vision score, but that could mostly be because games games have become just a lot shorter, and games are decided so fast. And in the bot lane, if you lose, you're not going to be warding that match at all. So longer games facilitates a higher vision score. Shorter games facilitates shorter games gives you a lower vision score. The reason is because you need to wait until about 10 minutes for an average game to get your quest done. You don't get that quest done though if you're roaming a lot or if you are in a losing matchup. The reason is because when you're roaming, you're not fulfilling your quest. And when you're in a losing matchup, it's hard to get gold for your quest. And it goes for every single item in the game, every single support item in quest. It's difficult to get gold to it when you're roaming and when you're in the losing lane. So because of that, I feel like that is why the vision score is lower. Because if it takes longer for you to get the quest done, you're not going to be warding until around 15 minutes into the game, which is, I find that's often the case when I'm in the losing lane, is that it does end up being about 15 minutes, sometimes 18 minutes, before I get to actually start using wards other than control wards. So I think that's why this number is lower. You can see it's starting to come back up now, but you can also see that how I'm doing in a bunch of my other stats is relatively good. So I'm going to filter it to my recent 25 games because my recent 10 games is probably not an applicable stat, as it's probably going to be much more skewed. So, actually, real fast, let me go to since mid-season this and compare myself to diamond players. Versus diamond players, my stat is still much higher than theirs. The only thing that is lower is objective control ratio. That is only since mid. So, recent 25 games. The only numbers I really care for this are coup participation and KDA. KDA is 4.11 and coup participation is 49.7. So my KDA is really good and my coup participation is only slightly lower. There's you can see in like, you know, probably 40% of the games here that I still have a higher kill participation than the average. It's just that there's some games where like this game is like I participate in 25% of the kills, and it's like, well, what happened in that game? Well, the game could have been over really fast, so there wasn't really any kills going on, and the game could have been just one from my mid lane and top lane and jungler. That happens when you play support. There's games where you just don't do anything, and that's because the game is just decided on other places on the map. So, no, I'm not like too worried about this stat. And yeah, this some of this stuff is like take it as you will and understand like why that stat is why it is. And a lot of this for me, a lot of the like this kill participation number has to do with how the meta is and how solo queue is. We don't care about income, so we're gonna skip over that. Map control. So this is interesting. So, almost a 50% objective control ratio, which is really good. Vision score is almost 120. It's slightly higher than my average, actually, which is interesting. My average from mid-season. I'm confused how that works. Because that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But regardless, much higher, 30 points higher than everybody else, which is really good. My roam dominance score is 1.4, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense because once again, if we look at since mid-season, we can see that this jumps up a ton the later stages. So the graphs do not exactly reflect this. Oh, you can click on the thing to get a thing. Yeah, actually, I remember playing these games. I don't understand why the score is lower because if I go to most recent, I guess those 25 games are already out, but they're still here. So I don't get what's going on with this graph. It kind of goes up and down whenever. But that's why I said most recent 25 games for me is probably not a good indicator. And then kill conversion ratio is still higher. If I compare that to Diamond, you can still see that my stats are just ridiculously higher than everyone else's. And yeah, I think that kind of goes to show, like, it kind of goes to show what I've been saying a lot when I play my games, and that's that when I play my games, I always say that I am better than platinum and I am at the very least at a diamond level. The reason why I say that is because I can look at my stats and I can be like, yeah, so I have a higher KDA. I do better than everything, or at least I do better if not just dead even in everything against people. And it's like, like you compare my stats and compare just me as a player against any other support player I have had to play against, and I will always look like the superior player. And my stats show that I am a superior player in platinum. This is comparing to diamonds. I'm better than your average plat player. That's why I always say that I'm better than plat. This is why I want to get out of plat. And this just goes to prove my point. I didn't need this to prove my point, but it is nice to look at it. And the graphs are still weird to read because, yeah, just because you like click on like recent 10 games and it's not the same at all for what the graph shows sometimes. But yeah, this is nice. I thought they were going to have a compare function, but they do not seem to have that. So yeah, something else that they can do, you can compare your one particular support to how other people are. This is something that I don't really care about because most of my games, like I said, Nahus, I have the most games on in total for this season, but he's only got 9 games played since midseason, so I can't look at like the stats in here for him. While Sona, I have played her ever since midseason, so I can see my stats compared, but it's not exactly something I really care about. Like, you can still see last 25 games, you can still see that it's kind of up and down and up and down and up and down. I don't really care for that. I don't like care at all for that. You can still see that I win out and everything though, playing Sona. It doesn't like matter who you see me on or what I'm doing. I haven't played Zyra in a while. I don't know how the hell she's on this. But like you can see better like kill participation I'm lower on by just barely, but then if I go to map control, I'm much better than other support players. You can see that I have 145.3 average vision score over the last 20 games I've played with her, and compared to a 96.7 vision score from other players. I roam more, I have higher kill conversion ratios. The only thing I don't objective control is higher too. The only thing that I don't have a higher thing of is kill participation. But yeah, like you can see that like on Zyra it's more important to look at the damage because that is kind of what you're supposed to be doing on Zyra, playing damage. So like you can see the damage share is lower for how my share of the damage on my team compared to everybody else, but my damage per death is much higher than the average, meaning that even though I have less damage overall, I'm providing more damage per death because I'm dying less, which means feeding less. Um, and you can look at this and be like, oh, that means that you're playing more passive on Zyra, but you can also see that on map control, I roam way more. I work off of I get more off of my kills more than my enemy. I get objectives more than my enemies when I play Zyra. Like you can see these stats and it's like you know like I'm better than the average Pat player. And I don't know how good I am compared to Diamond, but I know that I am at least a Diamond level. Oh yeah, this is like I said, this is interesting. I don't like how it only goes up to mid-season, but overall, it's interesting to look at. And for me, the whole like for me, like I feel like there should be maybe some different stats. I guess map control is like for the supports, but map control can be useful for everyone. But it's more impactful for supports. And like income, you don't care about that as a support. In combat, only so much of these numbers mean anything. But yeah, it's nice. But for someone like me that plays a lot of games, it like whatever. Um, but yeah, I guess it's nice to have confirmation that I'm actually like a really good support player. But yeah, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, remember to like and subscribe. And yeah, catch me streaming every night, 7:30 Eastern. I'm streaming, playing League, probably 99 times out of 10, carrying my goddamn games. So come check me out.